Are you thinking about buying a home with an ADU? Or perhaps you're going to buy a house and you're going to add an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. That's what ADU means. If that's you, stay tuned. This video is just for you. All right, Matt, the mortgage guy, residential mortgage broker, licensed across the country. In this video, I'm answering subscriber requests. I asked you guys what you wanted to see, what you wanted to hear about. You asked me time and time again to talk about either buying a house with an ADU or buying one without and then adding one on. So in this video, I'm going to go over pros and cons and things from a lending perspective, things from a financial perspective, things from even a lifestyle perspective that you should be considering before you do one of those two things. Buy a house with an existing ADU or think about adding one on to existing. So if you want to get started, get pre-approved, me and my team, greatmortgagebroker.com, you know the drill. I won't belabor that one. Let's jump right into it. First and foremost, what I want people to understand is although it's a popular topic, and it can be a great way to add income to an existing property or maximize income on a property that you're going to buy. It's not always a home run, or it's not always a net positive to add an ADU or buy a place with an ADU, right? So accessory dwelling units, these things can vary in size. It could be a studio, it could be a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom. Some of these ADUs are bigger than my current house, but with a trend of adding these things and investors especially, I want to make sure that you're educated to make a good decision and not just go out there blindly and just say this place has got an ADU, it's going to be great, right? Let's talk about the cost of an ADU, and know that I'm going to do something over the next couple of weeks where I get with a local construction buddy of mine who runs his own construction company. They've built dozens of ADUs. We're going to talk about the true cost of an ADU. We're going to talk about the do's and don'ts when you're building one. We're going to talk about permits and the things you might not know that's required when you build a new ADU in 2023. So stay tuned for that video. In today's video, I just want to talk to you about some of the basics. One, know the cost. They're not as cheap as some people might think. And some people might think like, oh yeah, I'll add a 2-bedroom, 1-bath ADU on the back of my house for 60 grand. I'll rent that thing out for $2,500 a month. Cha-ching, I'm in the money, right? And then they get the bill, and the ADU build is $240,000 for what they're envisioning. Those things can surprise you. So don't be that person that underestimates what it's going to cost, right? I'm going to start with a lending perspective, right? Because this is important for people to know. There's going to be, and this is whether you're buying something with an existing ADU or you're thinking about adding on. I know a lot of people that come to me and they're like, I want to buy this house. And, without going into too much detail, it's going to be specific on the property, right? Like what's considered a single family residence plus an accessory dwelling unit ADU, it's going to vary, right? If you've got a 2,000 square foot house and then you've got this accessory dwelling unit that's 600 square feet, you're going to get the pricing and the mortgage regulations around a single family house. What some people run into is you might have a 1,500 square foot house and then you've got a 1,200 square foot ADU that somebody built. A lot of lenders are going to say that's more than half of the size of the single family residence. This is a 2-unit. This is a 2-unit property. This isn't a single family plus an accessory dwelling unit. Doesn't necessarily kill the deal, but on a recent deal we had single family residence. We had 2 ADUs. These 2 ADUs that were built were just as big as the house. The lender said, we can lend on it, but we're going to consider it a triplex. It's a 3-unit, property. And so know what it's going to, be labeled by as the lender and what the lender is going to require for that specific type of property, right? And then from a financial perspective, this is something that I really want to stress because I don't want people to get into trouble with overestimating what they can get in rents, underestimating what it costs to actually build the thing, right? Like don't count on you being able to get $300 a night on Airbnb and rent it out for 25 out of 30 nights, right? Because then you're doing some numbers based on $7,500 in a month from Airbnb income. You're not taking into account that during some months of the year, you might only rent it out 14 nights a month. You might not be taking into account that it's going to require cleaning. It's going to require, maintenance. It's going to require other things. Airbnb is not passive income. Airbnb is pretty active, right? You got to be actively involved unless you've created scale and you've got systems and people around that stuff, right? It's not passive, and laws can change too, where you wouldn't be allowed to do short-term rentals maybe in some parts of the country. So when you're doing numbers, when you're trying to run analysis from a financial perspective, you might want to run the numbers on this thing would rent for $2,000 a month if I had a long-term tenant in there, and not go off the crazy $7,500 a month best case scenario of the Airbnb projections, right? If you're buying an existing place, you want to see if that ADU is permitted, right? It might cause an issue in escrow where the lender says we can lend on this, but you got to tear down that 600 square foot structure. It's not permitted, it's not allowed, whatever the case. Probably not going to happen, but you just want to make sure, right? You also want to figure out, is there shared utilities? When somebody adds an accessory dwelling unit, a lot of times it's all part of the same, power grid, where you want to account for the fact that this person or the people staying in an accessory dwelling unit and are renting are not, $400 a month in electrical costs. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I thought I was going to make this and I'm making this minus all these other costs I didn't take into consideration, right? On top of the lending perspective, the financial perspective, you also want to take into account lifestyle perspective. It's not for everybody, right? Have you ever shared space before? Do you like it? Are you not sure, right? Like, are you guys going to be sharing a driveway? Are they going to have to walk through your backyard to get to their front door? These are all things you want to take into account before you jump into a living situation that probably most people aren't super familiar with or accustomed to, right? I know that there's plenty of clients of mine that can have a single family residence. They can rent out 2 rooms. They can have an accessory dwelling unit, and they can have, even 2 bedrooms there that are rented out to 2 different people, manage all that stuff. This is one of those things I saw on a recent Bigger Pockets podcast where they talked about it's great as a new investor, but it's hands-on and it's really hard to scale, right? So you wouldn't be able to have a single family, rent it out by the room, have a 2-unit ADU or a 2-bedroom ADU, rent that out by the room, and really maximize the rents if you're trying to do that with 15 different properties. If you're doing it with one, it's scalable and it's doable. If you're trying to do it at scale, a lot harder. So great idea if it's your first property or you've got 1 or 2 properties, but know that it's not always going to get the collective $8,500 in rents that it is now by chopping it up and renting it out by room. So those are my thoughts on ADUs. Stay tuned. I promise you, I'm going to make a video. It's going to be with my buddy Dan Loesch from Loesch Construction. We're going to talk about the cost of an ADU and all the other different things around, like, how do you finance them, right? Most popular way to finance those things is HELOCs. I'll save that for the next video. In the meantime, if you've got anything else you want to see, please let me know. To connect with us, greatmortgagebroker.com. To connect with an agent who's going to find you your next great property, go to homeandmoney.com/Matt. Thanks for watching. There's 700 other videos that I want you to watch. They're here, here, and here. Go check out this one right now.